Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Hi. How are you, Heather?
I'm okay. How are you?
I am well.
Just seeing
I have to say, sorry, I have to say that I usually get starstruck, and of course I am, because I'm a big fan.
Thank you.
How's it going?
I'm trying to get a good setup there. Okay. Good. How are you?
Good. How's your day? Do you get a chance to go outside, enjoy the sunshine a little bit?
I did go outside a little bit today. Usually, especially with the kids, we try to find a way to be outside just to burn some energy and try to stay away from people. But yeah, I feel like it's important.
Absolutely. I think so too.
Yeah.
Okay, let us start. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the fifth series of Q&As, Talking with the Star. Today we have Heather Ogden. Am I saying that right? I'm sorry.
Yep, Ogden. Yep.
Ogden, from the National Ballet of Canada. And yeah, she's going to be answering some questions. And if you guys want to send us any question in the comments, please go ahead and do so. Okay, so Heather, would you like to tell us a little bit more of your origins? How do you start dancing?
Mm-hmm. I was born in Toronto, and I moved to Richmond, BC when I was 6. And that's where I started ballet lessons at the Richmond Academy of Dance. So I had a neighborhood babysitter who I really idolized and looked up to, and she danced in a show. So I went to go see her, and I told my mom, I want to go there. I want to go to that studio. And it was literally the closest ballet studio to our house, which was convenient. And then I stayed there until I graduated. So it's kind of unique in that way that I never had to change schools. I had wonderful teachers. Annette Jakubowski was my starting teacher, and then I had 2 really beautiful people as teachers from the Central Ballet in China. And yeah, I was able to be there and stay challenged, and I was there until I auditioned for the company.
Wow. So you never went to Canada's National Ballet School, right?
I did.
So you auditioned?
Yeah, so I had gone for the summer school. I liked having that opportunity. I spent 1 summer in Toronto at the National Ballet School, 1 summer in Winnipeg at the Royal Winnipeg, and then 2 summers in Banff. So I kind of had I had traveled a bit and a taste of different teachers, and there was actually quite a lot of amazing exposure to talented teachers and coaches in Vancouver. But then my ballet teacher called someone at the National Ballet and said, because we still had family in Toronto, we came here over Christmas to visit my grandparents and my aunts and uncles, and she asked if I could take class with the company. And I knew one person in the company because my ballet teachers, the 2 from Beijing, their daughter was in the company. She was just so beautiful and so talented, and she would come home and take class with us sometimes, where we would just be so wowed by her. But anyway, she kind of helped me in there, and I took class with the company during Nutcracker. And then they asked if I could come back and take the apprentice audition. So I came back again in February, stayed with my aunt, and I took a hour and 15-minute ballet class. And by the time I arrived back in Vancouver, they told me I was welcome to come as an apprentice. So,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, looking back, I feel like I must have had some backup plans, but I don't remember them at all. It was my first choice to go to National Ballet. And I guess I found out kind of early in February, so that was just my plan. After I graduated, I would be moving to Toronto.
That's great. I was just about to ask, did you audition for any other companies? Were you hoping to get somewhere else, or just full on National Ballet?
No, it's always a company that I liked. They would come on tour to Vancouver every other year, and I was always there asking my parents if I could have tickets and waiting backstage for the dancers. There were a lot of dancers I looked up to in that company, and my ballet teacher, who was also the owner of the studio, Annette, I always remember her talking about, not that it's a shame when Canadians leave, but it's kind of nice to have homegrown talent and to have Canadian trained dancers filling the Company of Canada. And so I guess I hadn't really broadened my horizons that much, but the National Ballet was number one on my list. I knew I wanted to dance classical ballet, so at the time Ballet BC was quite contemporary, and it didn't spark my interest as much. So as much as it was hard for me to leave home, I wasn't one of those people who's just like dying to get out of the house. Like, I was 17, right, and I was pretty young 17, so coming to Toronto was, even though I had family here, somehow it was a big move for me. But yeah, I didn't look back. Once I got in, I was like, that's where I'm going.
Amazing. And I mean, 17 is like usually the age where people start joining companies, but how do you feel to have made it, like, I wouldn't say easily, but like when you just find out rather quickly, how do you feel the moment that you were already in the company, and what's your journey being into the company?
So I joined, like I said, as an apprentice, and at the time they had a 2-tiered apprentice program. So we took class in the morning at the National Ballet School, just like so we didn't take class with the company very often. We took class at the school with their training program, and then we would all hop into my friend Andrea's car and like drive over to the company and be there for the full day of rehearsal. So I think looking back, although like sometimes that wasn't easy logistically, I think it was a nice kind of sliding, I don't know, a nice way to integrate into the company, like still feeling like we were really training, but get to rehearse with the company. You know, sometimes apprentices aren't heavily used. I think the company often uses them for backup, which I know is not a bad thing, but in our year, there was a lot of opportunity and a lot of pieces that needed a lot of women. For example, we did a new Swan Lake. So amazing. That was a big opportunity for us to be used and to prove ourselves, because like many companies, the apprentice year is really like a year-long audition. So yeah, a lot of the people that were in my apprentice group are some of my very best friends, and some of us are still dancing together after 21 years. And yeah, it's a nice kind of memory. That year is really nice.
That's amazing. Who was in your apprentice group?
Tanya Howard, Andrea Oltianu, Lisa Robinson. Those are kind of the 4 that we have most recently danced with, and who we kind of kept going the longest. Guillaume, my husband, was in the 2nd tier of the apprentice program, so I also knew him from as soon as I joined. And yeah, we're a group that lasted a long time somehow.
That's an achievement for sure. And yeah, and looking back into your journey in the company, how did you went up the ranks? I mean, lots of work, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, can you tell us more about that?
Yeah. Our director at the time, James Kadalka, was, like I said, he was choreographing a new Swan Lake. So we had a lot of opportunity to show ourselves. And I think because of that, he was able to like spot people who he wanted to push, and he always had a different path for everyone. So quite soon I started getting little solo opportunities. Like I did it's a Roll of the Sheep in the Nutcracker in my first year, and signets and things like that. So I got a few opportunities to kind of shine. And while I was still in the corps, I think maybe in my 3rd year in the corps, I was cast to do Juliet. So that I had done a few bigger solos, but then that was the big, you know, went up on the wall. I had no idea, so shocked and happy, but kind of overwhelmed. And that was a big moment for me. Guillaume and I were paired together, and it was the first time I got to work with the principal ballet mistress, Magdalena Popa, who has become my mentor and my coach, and been such a big part of my career. And that's when it started. So I feel like that was a really big moment and a big process, learning how to, you know, dance as a principal, be partnered. It's a huge acting role. I think that was a really big vehicle for my development, that ballet. So and that year I also competed in the Eric Bruin competition, which was another opportunity to work really in a focused way with Magdalena and with Guillaume again. We did Black Swan and original contemporary piece by Dominique Dumais. So another opportunity to have something created on you. And I think at a young age that's, you know, an opportunity. Yeah. So after that year, I was promoted to second soloist. And I think before the end of the next year, I was promoted to first soloist. And then I started doing a lot of principal roles, had a few injuries in there, a few stress fractures that sidelined me and frustrated me. I was, you know, impatient to be dancing, and I felt like I was climbing a ladder in a way with,
right.
There was a momentum, and I think that's normal, and sometimes it tells you to slow down a bit and you learn a lot, but you know, nobody likes to hear that. So that was definitely a bit of a couple of roadblocks in there, but then I was promoted to principal. I think it was in my 6th year in the company.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Speaking of injuries, as you say, you were like climbing the ladder, like going right at it, and then you get injured. How do you keep yourself from going into that not so pleasant place in your head?
Well, it took some time for me to learn that. It's still something I struggle with because I think as a young dancer, I was, you know, like I said, I had great friends, but I moved to Toronto to dance. And so I felt like when I wasn't dancing, I was like, what am I doing here? And like, I felt bored. I just wasn't so maybe well balanced in my life yet. So I missed dancing so much, and I found it really difficult. And, you know, with those injuries, they say 4 weeks, and they're like another 2 weeks. And I was quite impatient. And the injuries, the stress fracture I had came back 2 times after that. So by the 3rd time I learned, and I took more time, and I explored different things. I like took violin lessons, and I
fun.
Visited more, and I went home to visit my family in Vancouver, in Richmond, which always helps me. I have an amazing group of friends that I still have at home, which I think is pretty amazing that we've kept in touch over all these years. And I just find that going home, many of my friends there are not dancers, and they help me to find that balance.
That's great. I think it's very important as dancers to have some friends that are not dancers.
Yeah,
I think it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I wanted to ask you if, yeah, no worries.
I just want to plug you in because I'm getting the warning.
Oh, the battery.
Yeah. Okay.
I wanted to ask you, because you had quite a long career. You're in your 22nd season with the company or so, you mentioned. What is the role that you have performed the most?
Well, besides Nutcracker, probably Swan Lake, I think.
Right. Okay.
I think.
And,
yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. That's it.
Sorry. And yeah, and I know this is probably very hard, but like, do you have a specific performance of Swan Lake, for example, that changed your whole career or performing that role?
I do. I have a few. I have
amazing.
So, sorry for all the jiggling. I'm trying to balance this thing.
Okay.
So when I was, I think, a second soloist, I was doing Swan Lake, and Guillaume and I had done our first however many shows we were supposed to do. And I think we had dance on the Saturday, and the Sunday was the last matinee. And like for the first, I was always in company class, but my parents were in town, and so on Sunday we were going to have brunch at my grandma's, kind of up north Toronto. So I decided I wouldn't go in that day. It was the end of the season, and I went up to my grandma's, and then I got this call from our ballet mistress that said, the dancer who was going to dance, she's not well, you need to come. So I was like panicked, like, you know, we're not that close.
Of course, the one day.
I remember like my mom was getting the car, my grandma made me a sandwich, and like we were just like, you know, as if we were like in an ambulance coming to the theater. And I just like quickly warmed up, and I had so much adrenaline, and there's something about like not saving the day, but coming in to like have a performance that's unplanned, and then just to come in, there's different expectations, like, and here to, you know, to fill in for the show. And I think I was likely still warm from the night before, which is always so weird when people say that, but there's something like a bit of adrenaline, and I felt so comfortable, and I had such a great show, and like just felt so at ease. And so did Guillaume. So we were just really happy after it was the last show of the season. And then our director, James, came on stage at the end of the show and promoted me to first soloist on stage. Just not in front of the company, just privately. But then when I went up to the change room after the show, all the girls were popping champagne because it was our last show of the season. And I was like, I have some good news. So I'll always remember that show. I've had so many experiences with Swan Lake, but Swan Lake was also the first ballet I returned to after having my second baby, Leo. And I set myself a little bit of a ambitious timeline for that. So, you know, every week I was kind of like working towards it, and it's like I wasn't ready until the week of the show, I felt. And so to come back and to have what I felt like, you know, a show that I could be proud of, I was really, I don't know, I was really happy. It felt like a big accomplishment to have, you know, my beautiful family that I wanted so much at home, and then to still be back on stage dancing a ballet that, you know, had meant so much to me in my career. It really felt like I was back. And yeah, that was a big moment of celebration too.
Oh, that's amazing. I mean, I always think that ballerinas who come back to dance after having their kids, you guys are just heroes, because it's definitely not an easy thing to do. And doing a principal role such as Swan Lake, it's definitely not easy.
Yeah, it was a challenge. So at first, Karen, I was like, it's really borderline time-wise coming back for that, you know. I didn't want to miss Swan Lake because, like I said, it was special to me, but it was a little bit fast. And so Karen, she said the perfect thing to motivate me. She was like, you know what, why don't you just try, and then if you don't want to do it, you can pull out at any time, which was actually so generous of her to do that.
Wow, that is
so
amazing.
I feel like if it had been like, you need to say right now yes or no, it would have felt like a lot more pressure and a lot more stress. Not to say that I didn't feel pressure, but you know, a month before when they put up the advertising flags for Swan Lake all over the city and my picture was on it, I was like, oh, well, I guess I'm doing it. So,
right.
But I worked really slowly and methodically with my coach, Magdalena, who I said, she already knew me so well, and I just like put myself in her hands, and I don't know how we did it, but we did it.
That's amazing, because you're amazing. And I'm sure she's amazing as a coach. And I feel like having the support of the whole company, because the little bit that I do know about the National is that you guys are an incredibly supporting company. And that's so relieving. That's so nice to hear, because, you know, ballet work can be a little bit rough sometimes. But yeah.
It definitely having the support of all my friends was a huge factor.
Yeah. Okay, so I have to ask the question that everyone wants to know. What kind of pointe shoes do you wear, and how do you prepare them for your shows?
So I wear Freeds, classic Freeds, with like my specifications, 6.5 XXX. And I wear just the 1.8 insole, so not too hard, slightly tapered, and 3/4 shank. And then
nice.
I usually cut them down a little bit more than that. I like just like a little bit more than 3/4, which I should probably order, but I just never do. And then I sew ribbons, one elastic, and I've most recently started darning the toe because as you know, Freeds are made by hand, and lately I feel like they're a little bit more bubbly and wobbly. So a friend said, why don't you do this? And I was like, oh, I don't want to start because it's so time consuming. It like doubles the time to prepare a pair of shoes. And I was like, I really don't have time for this with like a family at home. But of course I tried it and I loved it. So now I do that too. And yeah, my shoes don't last
Nice.
long, but I like them. I've been wearing tees for years, probably like 17 years.
Wow, that's amazing. And it's amazing that you still have your maker,
Yeah.
because sometimes they just disappear.
I know. I don't go anywhere.
Great. So yeah, I know. I know. I feel like sometimes they just pass and there's nobody to like keep on their legacy of making the shoes, and that's very stressing for dancers usually.
Yes.
But yeah, how do you balance your family life and your company life?
I don't know. I keep I have a tight schedule. Like I've found I've had to be much more organized, and you know, I have to focus on what I'm doing at the moment. So when I'm at work, I try not to waste much time, or I'll get my shoes sewn at work if I can, or but it's, you know, like I think any working parent, you feel pulled in multiple directions. You know, ideally I would get to work earlier to warm up longer. Ideally I would be home earlier to be with my kids, but you just do your best in both categories. We have a great support. We have a nanny that we really love and depend on. She's absolutely a part of our family. So that offers us some flexibility with childcare. My mom lives in town, so we also have her support. When I was coming back for Swan Lake, Leo was still very young. I was still nursing him, so my mom would bring him to the studio. She's retired, so she would bring him to the studio. So just like those kind of things make a big difference.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Great. So let me see what else. Oh yeah, the same thing. I asked Elena the same, and I mean, you guys are all superstars. But if there is one thing that you struggle with technically, what would that be?
Well, I could probably name a lot of things, but I often find like I always would like to improve my port bras.
Okay.
I found like I put more thought into my upper body now as a more mature dancer, whereas I feel like I was very low. Like sometimes when you're more technically focused, I think you focus on the lower body, right? Like the feet and the turns and the jumps. And I think I have a powerful body, so
yes, I agree.
my body can like do a lot of dynamic things, but I think like I really appreciate people with that like buttery soft port bra and that carriage of their body. So I try to work on that. My adagio, you know, I kind of lean more towards jumping and turning than I do to like, you know, long holds and like
right.
slow adagio. But yeah, like most things you have to always be working. It doesn't stop. It doesn't, even the things that come naturally, if you don't keep working on them, they go. So
totally. Any tips for all the dancers out there on how to improve your port de bras or your adagio that you personally do?
Yeah, for my adagio, sometimes at the bar, I will hold a ball or something a little bit heavy. So I feel like it makes me become aware of like not letting my wrists droop. And it also makes you use them, like, you know, if it is a little bit heavy, it makes you use your back muscles that support your arms.
Totally.
I mean, one of my biggest tools is I ask my coach, I'm like, don't let me, like, they've always got their eyes on us anyway, but I think sometimes when you have something you personally want to focus, if you vocalize that, then it's always best to have the eyes at the room be your eyes, because if you're checking on it too much, you never really feel it. Like you have to feel it without seeing it. So, yeah, but I find that finding a connection to my back and my lats has been really helpful, because you can say like, put your arms like this and make this pose, but like, you know, during a solo or during the course of a ballet, you can't just keep creating poses. It has to be like the carriage of the arms. So I'm still working.
I know. You guys are all still working all the time. You're such hard workers. Speaking of coaches, this is a fun question that I don't know why I thought of it. If you could work with anyone, any coach in life, dead or alive, who would that be?
Well, I love my coach now, for sure, Magdalena. I spoke a lot about her. Another favorite of mine alive, who I love, is Suzanne Farrell. I've danced with her so much, and she's given me so many things that I keep with me, so much knowledge and generosity, and, for all things balancing, but I take it with me for all of me dancing. So I wish I had the opportunity to work with her more. Who else? I would love to work with Julie Kent.
Amazing. Yes.
Yeah, she's so beautiful. She's such a ballerina, and everything about her dancing looks so effortless, but I know she has a very great eye, and she's become a director now, and I would love the opportunity to work with her. Who else? I'm picking the ones who are alive because I don't want to tease myself.
Right. I know. I just thought that'll be fun if we can have like a perfect bucket list of people that we wanted to work with.
Okay, how about Nureyev?
Right.
Like dancing his Sleeping Beauty and learning from Karen, who danced with him directly, how she's like, oh, Rudy would have loved that, or this is what he wanted. And I mean, you can never know, but I feel like the way he liked dancers to be so physical, I feel like I would have loved to work with him and understand the physicality he wanted even more. And I know he was so demanding, and I like that. So I think I would have liked that challenge.
Absolutely. And you can see that because that version of Nutcracker, oh my gosh, so hard.
Yes, most of his ballets are so hard because he made them for himself, and he, I don't know, everything's always right side, left side, like incredible discipline and athleticism and artistry. I don't know. That would be a dream.
And speaking of hard roles, which one has been the hardest? Let's say technically.
For me, I always toss it up between Sleeping Beauty and Swan Lake, because those are like the long full lengths. I think maybe it's Sleeping Beauty for me. Wow. Because I find it less, it's so exact and so scholastic in many ways, like with the young, when she's the young princess, that, in Swan Lake you can indulge and there's a lot more emotional aspects, or you can bore out of something, whereas in Sleeping Beauty, like, you're up and then you're down.
Right.
And I think
right. And her whole first entrance is like so excited all the time.
Yeah. It's a long night, but it builds really well. I don't know. It's definitely a hard one. There's so many. I mean, I think of a full length when you ask for a hard role, but there's so many like amazing balancing roles that just like absolutely take the wind out of you, like Tchaikovsky Padada or Serenade. I love those hard ballets, the ones that challenge you. Mozartiana, Chaconne, you're going and going, but they're so hard when you think about it before you start, and then you get into them and you forget, and it just carries you through.
Well, I just recently saw you in Etudes. Oh my gosh, so
hard.
Yeah,
that one's very hard. Yes,
like the whole ballet. Yeah, not only for you but for the whole company. It's intense. Yeah,
that's kind of comforting, because it's not that the other ballets are not hard for the company as well, but the pressure of Etudes being like, you're there to show your technique, and people are there expecting to see it. It's across the board, so the whole company needs to be like at a certain level, and
you guys really killed it, all of you. It was great.
Thank you. Yeah, it was well put together and well rehearsed. I think in the end we all loved it.
Great. I feel like that's probably a little bit hard at the beginning to really love it.
Yeah.
All right. What else? Is there any advice that you have for young dancers on their careers?
I think you need to, you have to love it. You have to love it so much that it doesn't feel like work, but you have to work so hard. And I think that's the only way, because for ballet, you have to start working so hard at a young age, right? Like, unlike other professions where you can put your hard work in a little bit later when you're a little bit more mature. And as a dancer, you need to love it so much so that hard work will come out and it will pay off for you later. I think listen to yourself and make the choices that make sense for you. Now there's so many different paths and different ways to do things, to have a ballet career now. I know it used to be you need to go to a big professional school, you need to go to boarding school. Like I said, I had a different path that way, which showed me that different options are possible. But there's also, now I know a lot of people do these big competitions and they get scholarships or contracts that way. And I think you need to just follow your instinct. The most important thing, I think, is your teacher. So it doesn't really matter which school you're at. You need to have a coach that you know is going to work with you well. You're going to have good chemistry and respect with each other.
Totally. All right. Somebody says you were amazing in Romeo and Juliet. I got to see you the last night.
It's the last show.
Yeah. Actually, which brings me, how are you guys coping with this whole not being able to be at the studio? Are you keeping yourself active, taking classes, and all that?
Yeah. It's difficult. We've set up a little makeshift studio at home, like most dancers have, and we've been taking class online and doing different Zoom classes, which has offered a lot of nice choices. A lot of teachers that I love to work with, I can now take their class online, but it's not the same. And in many ways, we're spoiled with beautiful conditions, nice studios, space, sprung floor. So I miss that. Those kind of things add the finishing touch on the training. I'm going to miss performing a lot. It's kind of hard to know that there's no end in sight for this period of time. You don't know when it will end. So, it takes a lot of discipline to stay motivated, but
absolutely
try to find the silver linings. I'm spending some beautiful time with my family, and I'm doing some other things now, and I try to keep myself fit with Pilates and ballet, and we rented a bike. I hate to bike, but we rented a bike.
Hey, the weather is nice for once.
No, it's an indoor bike. It's the boring bike. I
see.
But I tried to go running, and it was so hard on my body. So the bike it is.
Yeah. Hard impact on your body, yeah, for sure. Okay, let's get into the little lightning round. I was asked not to go too fast because I think I was rushing Selena too much through this.
Okay, wait, so, I'm getting a glass of water. Hold on.
Okay, yes, go for it. I'll have some water too. If anyone wants to ask Heather a question, please send it in the comments. And yeah, we're going to ask her a series of questions. Hopefully, yes, it's very fast.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, so basically the way it works is I'm going to ask you a series of questions, like black or white, and you just have to answer them as fast as you can. I'm going to try not to rush you too much, but also try not to think too much about it. Okay, okay, so jumps or turns?
Jumps.
Okay, plies or tendies?
Tendies.
Sorry, I'm not too fast myself. Sylvie Guillem or Marilena Nunez?
Say it again?
Sylvie Guillem or Marilena Nunez?
Sylvie.
Oh, I know, I love it. What else? Poutine or salad?
Poutine.
100%. Favorite role to dance? Favorite variation to dance?
Black Swan.
Ooh, spicy. Odile or Odette, which I guess that's redundant.
Oh yeah, Odile.
Giselle or Kitri?
Ooh, Giselle.
Okay, Rubies or Serenade?
Oh, Serenade.
Okay, Balanchine or Petit Pas or Nourrijet?
Balanchine.
Ooh, that's fun. You had a lot of experience with Balanchine too, right?
Yeah.
That's amazing. I feel like not many dancers who are not New York City Ballet or American trained get that
Yeah.
chance.
We used to have like the big, kind of the big, more popular Balanchine pieces in the repertoire regularly. And then I started dancing with a dance company every year, and I just learned so much repertoire that's less common or less seen. And I just love it. Everything, I mean, is amazing.
Great. Okay, hold on, because I think there's a few people asking some questions. Oh, somebody says Sugar Plum or Juliet.
Juliet.
Juliet. And then somebody else is asking, what's your favorite ballet that you have performed?
I have so many. Mozartiana, Romeo and Juliet, Swan Lake, Chaconne.
So beautiful.
I did a beautiful ballet that James created for a company and that I was in called Black Night, Bright Day. And it was, for me, I thought it was so touching. That's on my list. It goes on and on.
Nice. Which brings me, who is your favorite choreographer alive?
Oh, wait, Nijinsky.
Nijinsky.
Yeah, I need to put that on the list. Favorite choreographer
alive.
That's hard. We've done a lot with John Neumeier, who I really enjoy working with. I find his roles so human and generous. Definitely him. I love working with Alexei Ratmansky. I love working with Guillaume, who's choreographing. Yeah, I'm probably forgetting people, but there's a short list.
Okay, speaking of Guillaume, who is your favorite partner other than Guillaume?
Ooh, I had a partner I loved dancing with in Suzanne Farrell's company named Michael Cook. He was just he's one of those guys who's just born with it. Like, I could do anything, and he always had me or could anticipate my next move. Like, in a similar way to Guillaume, but Guillaume and I have had this long partnership and this long relationship, and I just felt as soon as Michael and I touched each other, it felt really natural. I get to dance with Harrison a lot at the National Ballet, who is a very beautiful partner and just a really lovely person to, when you dance with someone, you spend your day with them, especially as a principal, because you're not really with other people besides your coach. And it's been really lovely to grow our partnership, and we've had the opportunity to do a lot of roles together recently in a row. So I feel like we've developed like a nice ease and a nice, we're always laughing. It's fun.
Oh, that's important. That's the best. When you're actually laughing with your partner, that's the favorite thing. Yes. Somebody is asking, favorite piece of music to dance to?
Sorry. The Prayer in Mozartiana is one of my favorite pieces to dance to, which is, I believe it's Tchaikovsky.
Nice. Yeah, that's a beautiful piece of music. Somebody's asking, what was the adjustment like not coming from NBS to auditioning joining NBOC?
Before I arrived, I wondered about that, but I think having some exposure to the school before helped me. Like I said, I had done the summer school, and they're all very beautifully trained, and I knew that they would have that like polished NBS thing, but I knew that I was like at the level that to kind of join people. I'm not speaking very well, but to be able to be at the same level as everybody else as an apprentice. And also in the year that I joined, it was kind of unique because James hired a lot of apprentices from elsewhere. So like Lisa's from Australia, Tanya's from South Africa, Andrea went to the Quinty Ballet School. So it wasn't like I felt like the odd one out not joining from NBS. So I think that helped a lot.
For sure. Yeah, that's probably really, really reassuring that you are not the one person.
Yeah, the odd one.
Yeah. Somebody is asking, is it hard to work with the same person all day and then go home to them every night?
No, we're very used to it. We've actually talked about how, like, it will be weird when we're not, like, if we're both not in the company one day, it will be weird, more weird for us to not spend all of our time together. And I think also, like, when we are dancing together, we spend a lot of time together in the studio, but when we're not, it's not like I get to see Guillaume all day. He's dancing with someone else, or he's choreographing, or a lot of times I spend my time in the change room with all the girls during lunch break. Like, that's some of our favorite time, just like visiting in the change room. So, when we come home, we still have stuff to share with each other at the end of the day. And like I said, we're used to it. I don't get sick of him. You have to interview him and ask him if it's the other way.
I will. if he wants to be interviewed by me, I will.
Oh, that's my sister-in-law, Cote Genevieve.
Oh, hi. Yeah. Oh, hi. Somebody's asking, what are the challenges learning Wayne McGregor's choreography? Ooh, Chroma was beautiful.
I get the feeling the first time I met Wayne, you're just like blown away by his energy and his intellect. Like, he literally speaks faster than anyone. He's so energetic. He's so fast. And I think immediately I was like, oh, you have to be fast to keep up, you don't want to like diminish his energy. He's throwing stuff at you. And, that took a minute to like get up to that pace. His choreography is incredibly physical and demanding. So, it takes its toll on the body. You need to devote some time in your life to rehab or icing or those kind of things. I'm aware of that when we work with Wayne. We're supposed to have a big creation coming up with him. So yeah, it's exciting.
Amazing. All right. So some people had other questions. The company's been traveling the last few years. What city did you enjoy performing in the most?
Oh, Paris was amazing. Paris and London. Also getting to go to Russia. I had never been, and going to Moscow and St. Petersburg was incredibly eye-opening and beautiful and educational and historical. So those were like a really good couple of years for us, like really exciting destinations. New York. But I would say we performed Nijinsky at the Champs-Elysees, which is where Nijinsky first performed The Rite of Spring. So it was really like a beautiful experience to do that there.
Nice. And how did it feel? Because you guys took Sleeping Beauty to Russia, if I'm not mistaken?
No, we took a mixed program.
Oh, I see.
We took Being and Nothingness and Emergence and Paz de la Joya. So it was a mixed program. We took Beauty to the Kennedy Center.
Right.
Yeah, I love dancing there too. Actually, that's like one of my favorite theaters.
Nice. Somebody is asking if you're going to put your kids in ballet.
Oh, Emma takes ballet classes at a local studio. For me, it's whatever they want. If they want to dance, I'll help them. If they don't want to, I'll help them do whatever else they want to do. I see that it has its benefits of discipline, physicality, and musicality. So I know a lot of dancers are like, no way, I don't want my kids to dance. And I don't feel like that. Like, I see how hard it is and how, for many people, it can be very disappointing. Like, I'm aware that my path was a good one and a lucky one. But for me, it's whatever she wants to do. Whatever he as well. I'm sure, having them see both of us dance, when I ask Emma what she wants to do, she says she wants to be a farmer and a dancer. And I'm like, I don't know where the farmer came from, but I think it's normal for kids. I said, why do you want to be a dancer? And she said, so I can come to work with you. So, she doesn't totally get it, but I think it's normal that kids want to do what they see. So
that's true. Yeah. That's amazing that she wants to be a farmer.
I know.
Have chickens, but I have a place.
I know.
Okay. Just to finish off, is there anything that you would like to add?
No, I think that's been really fun. Good questions.
Well, thank you. Like I say, I'm no journalist, and I'm very nervous, of course, talking to you.
No,
But you're such a great person, and you've made this very great.
Oh, thanks for having me. Sorry about my little glitch there.
Not at all. Don't worry. And I look forward to seeing you on stage sometime very soon, hopefully.
Yes, fingers
Yeah,
crossed.
thank you so much.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night. Yes. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. And thank you for joining us. And if you guys want to tune in on Sunday, same time, 7 p.m. for Toronto, Eastern Daylight Time, or whatever, how you say that. We will be interviewing Katia Carranza from Miami City Ballet. She is the principal there. And yeah, join us on Sunday. And if you guys want to keep on taking living room ballet with us, make sure to tune in pretty much every day at 11 a.m. All right. And if you guys have any more questions for Heather, do send them our way. We'll make sure to answer all of them. Goodbye, everyone. Bye.